Yo, hey, what's up, guys? So the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I recently did my n400 interview, aka your citizenship interview. Um, I did about 2 days ago. I feel like it went pretty good. Like, I feel pretty confident in it. I answered everything pretty confidently. I'm pretty sure I answered everything correctly too. I studied a lot, but unfortunately, they weren't able to make a decision right then and there. The agent told me that he was gonna have to look over my paperwork, especially because I turned in some more paperwork. Because unfortunately, I do have a bit of a criminal record. So my lawyer had already told me, like, usually when you have a record or like you have a history with immigration proceedings of any kind, that they were gonna need some time to step back and look over those before they can make a decision. Now, like I said, it was about 2 days ago. He told me that he'd call me the same day, and also he told me that if he was busy, that he'll probably call me the next day, which was yesterday, but he never did. I talked to my mom about it. She recently went through the same process, and she told me that she did hers on a Friday, and she finally got her decision on the next Wednesday. So over the weekend plus 3 days. It's not bad, so I'm not stressing. I mean, I am stressing, but I know that it could take a while. I looked it up on the internet, and I guess it can take up to 122 days to make a decision. So the wait just started, I'm just going to be patient. I mean, it would have been hella dandy if they would have just let me know right then and there, like, boom, you passed, you're good, But like I said, I'm pretty confident, and even though I do have a bit of a criminal record, the biggest part of that happened before I got my green card. So like, I got into some deep stuff. The immigration judge saw all that stuff, and she still granted me my papers. So, and then the other stuff that happened after I got my papers was pretty minor stuff, some slap in the wrist stuff. So I feel pretty confident that that's not gonna affect me. I still can't help but be nervous. When I went over there, I was a nervous wreck, man. It's hard to explain, like shaking, especially when you don't have your lawyer with you. I went, my lawyer didn't go. It was just me. But the reason why I did that was because, like I said, I feel pretty confident. I talked to my lawyer about it. She said that even if she was there, the only thing that she would do was make some updates, and after that it would just be me writing alone, The updates that she was gonna make was that my mom just became a citizen, so I guess she was gonna add that to the equation there. I told him that he asked me if any of my parents are U.S. citizens, and I told him, yeah, my mom, my stepdad. I fixed through my stepdad, so they should have already known that. But I still took the opportunity to point that out. You need to be thorough in these kind of things. It looked like he looked up my mom. He typed in her name, her date of birth, country of birth, and seems like he found her. So hopefully that counts. I was making the update myself, but the only thing that's really got me a little bit bothered is that when we were talking about my criminal case, after we got done talking about it, he told me to look over the paperwork, or to look over the application. It was like on a tablet. He's like, oh, make sure everything is right and sign it. So I looked at my name, it's right, my date of birth, my address. But then when I looked at the cases, my criminal cases, like it said, for example, I only have, for one case, I got convicted of 3 charges, but I got accused of a bunch more. But then when I looked at that case, it said, okay, first charge, convicted. Okay, I knew that. Second, convicted. Third, convicted. And then the other ones, they said convicted too. So I was like, wait a second. He told me to check to see if everything was right. So I pointed it out to him. I was like, the only thing I would say is I got accused of these, but I didn't get convicted. Some of these say dismissed. So like, why don't the ones that I got dismissed for all say dismissed? He's like, oh no, like I just put what you told me. I just put what you just told me right now. And I was like, well, I told you that I got these dismissed, only convicted for these other 3. And he was like, oh, it's all right. It's like, it's on the same day, so it's going to come out as the same thing. Like, trust me, they have the information. And I was like, oh, well, I'm just telling you because you told me to check. to make sure everything looks right. So that's why I'm pointing it out. So, and he went and fixed it. But when he went and fixed it, I would have felt comfortable and happy when he fixed it. But then when he went and fixed it, he's all like, oh, something else popped up here. And he started bringing up the shit when I was a minor. I had talked to my lawyer about that I had a record when I was a minor. She's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, that shit's, you know, it's sealed after a certain amount of time. And minor convictions don't count for immigration purposes. So, you know, I was like hella in my comfort zone in the sense that, like, oh, they weren't going to bring that up. But then when I asked him to correct that, boom, he was like, oh, this came up. And he's like, oh, well, what happened right here in 2008? And I was like, oh, you know, I was hella nervous. I was like, oh my God. I was like, well, that's when I was a minor. It was a long time ago. And I was trying to remember what he was talking about. And he's all like, oh, something about a car burglary. Do you remember what the outcome of that was? And I was like, oh, I think I got probation. And he's like, were you locked up for it? And I was like, yeah, I think like for about a week. So, okay. And then he said that he had fixed the other stuff. And I looked at it again. And it said something about gang-related stuff, affiliation with the gang, and it said convicted. I was like, in my mind, I was like, fuck. Last time I told him to fix something, he brought up something new from the past. But I definitely didn't want him to put fucking gang affiliation on there as convicted. And I was like, oh, okay, now I'm seeing this gang thing is for sure I didn't get convicted of that. That was for sure dismissed. You know, for sure that one. He's like, all right, he's like, all right. And then he went to fix it. He's like, okay, now something else came up. Something about you telling an officer a fake name. You lied about your name to a police officer. And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, that was when I was a minor, too. I barely even remember that. He's all like, oh, what happened there? And I was like, yeah, I think I gave a cop a fake name, and they gave me like a violation of probation. And then, so that's the only like hiccup that I felt I had. Like everything else went hella smooth, you know, like did a little bit of small talk with the guy. He asked me my questions, you know, easy. I felt like a breeze, you know. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get through this shit. Even when he talked to me about my record as an adult, I felt confident about it because I had already talked to my lawyer and she told me, you know, like, don't lie, but don't tell them everything too, you know. Don't tell them every fucking detail about it. So I felt good about that. The only thing that gave me a little hiccup right there was when he was all, oh, check it to see if it's right and then sign it. And then when I corrected him, I don't know if it was on him that he wanted to put pressure on me or maybe he wanted to fuck me over. I don't know what it was. But when I told him to correct it, he started bringing up more shit. I don't know if that was like a personal thing or what. But I'm still waiting for the decision right now. I'm pretty nervous. The only thing that gives me some kind of comfort is that my lawyer told me that as bad as they might sound, the convictions as a minor don't count towards immigration. And like I said earlier, those convictions as a minor and even as when I barely became an adult, the immigration judge had already seen those and granted me my status despite those charges that I had. So I'm pretty nervous, but at the same time, I'm kind of confident. The agent told me at the beginning of the conversation, at the beginning of the interview, he's like, oh, I see some criminal charges here, but I don't see them affecting your application, really. You should be good. So he himself said that, you know. So, like I said, I was feeling good throughout the whole interview up until the end when he started bringing up the stuff of when I was a minor. And I didn't want to... It's been so long. That was like in 2008, and right now it's 2023. So, like, what... 15 years around there. So it's like I told him straight up, you know, like I don't want to lie to you, like that was a while ago. And that's when he was like, oh, do you remember what the outcome of that was? And I didn't want to lie like about my the charges that I had, but he asked me about the outcome, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember the outcome was I got probation and I got locked up for a few days, but not very long at all. So yeah, and And then when he brought up the fake name thing, before I answered him, I was reading over the charges that I had told him to correct. And when he told me about the fake name thing, I was like, hold on a second, let me just finish looking here. Because, like, I hate doing two things at the same time. Like, I like to focus all my energy on one thing, all my attention on one thing. And I didn't want him to keep bringing up old shit. So I was like, hang on a second, let me just finish looking over these things. And I was like, deep down inside, I was like, fuck. But then I made sure that everything was good. The charges that were right. And the ones that I didn't get convicted for, they said dismiss. And then I looked up at him and I was like, oh yeah, about that, let me think back. Oh, that was a while. Yeah, I think I did give a fake name to a police officer, and I think I got like a violation of probation for that. So like I said, it was really uncomfortable that they brought that up. I wasn't expecting that came from left side. But I feel like I wrote it out pretty good. I had taken new passport pictures because they need a current picture of you, but they never asked for them. But my brother had already told me, like, oh, they're gonna need that picture from you. So I went and got it. And at the end of the interview, he told me, he's like, hey, I'm gonna be holding on to these pictures. All right, I think we're gonna need them. So that makes me feel good, because if they're gonna need them, maybe because when you become a citizen, they give you like a certificate of naturalization, and it has that current picture of you. So if he said that they're gonna need them, like, deductive reasoning says if he's gonna need them, it's because he's gonna give me that certificate. Or maybe, I don't know, hopefully it's not that they just want to update my appearance on their system. But yeah, that's the situation. It's Friday today, so if they don't call me with that decision today, I'm gonna have to wait over the weekend, and that's gonna suck. But I mean, I'd rather wait and have them give me a good news than have them call me sooner and be bad news. So I just gotta be patient, and it's weird because, like, all I gotta do is sit and wait, but that proves to be one of the hardest fucking things, because, like, the anxiety of it, the uncertainty, it sucks, bro. It sucks.